And we're live.
Brown 45! Brown 45! Hot, 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 hot!
Of commercial-free football start now.
Welcome back. We've made it another week. Kind of a shitty week of football. We will discuss it. You consider those good games? That would be a weird statement to make. My curse strikes again, but I did a favor for everybody. My max points literally led to the Cowboys' demise, which you're all welcome. Now it's time to get to divisional. We'll get to this will lead to the AFC and NFC championship game. We'll talk about some stuff that's happened over the week. Then we'll get to the games, and then we'll continue our picks through the final week before we get to the final two games. Nazario, you were dormant last week. You probably didn't even watch a ton of football last week, I imagine, because the Niners weren't playing. I was watching it, man, horror icons. So how was it to not have to worry about losing?
Very relaxing. Like the last 2 weeks have been very not stressful. When with regards to this, like the rest of my life sucks, but regarding football, I've been pretty relaxed. I do have to say though, I wouldn't like to lose to the Packers. I don't even know if it's gonna happen, but please don't.
That also adds an interesting point. My thing, maybe like 4 or 5 weeks ago, you might want to pay the man now because I think they got their guy. And it's very clear they got their guy.
Yeah, he's gonna get 40 now, definitely.
Oh, yeah. Probably more. To be honest with you, I think he's going to be paid very handsomely. And I'll bring up some stuff. Mark Menchaca, we all are in a group chat. You went to do some stuff outside, came back and saw that the Packers were, I think is your example, dick smacking, or I don't know what was it, but the Cowboys. So, how was your weekend of football, and how are you?
I'll
give you your foul hours. You put the tombstone above them a long time ago. You put the most points on the Eagles. You knew that team was dead. So I'll give you your flowers. You're right.
Well, that was nice. Browns getting their asses smacked. That wasn't so nice. I wish that didn't happen.
That Flacco stuff was fun for a while, wasn't it? It was fun.
It was, and like watching him throw a couple pick sixes, like in Houston. Like I don't think I've seen that shit since Matt Schaub was throwing footballs for the Texans. No, I enjoyed watching Baker destroy the Eagles because they're bad. It sucks for Jason Kelce.
He could have thrown for 500. We'll talk about it, but he could have thrown for 500.
Yeah. How many drops they have? Like 8? Like felt like a lot.
A stupid amount. It was nuts. I think Mike Evans' props on bets cleared even with all the drops. It was an easy clear. Cole, this has to be a personal hell of yours. Two NFC North teams win in advance while the Vikings are sitting home. So, how was your football week?
It's like the only time that I ever cheer for the Cowboys is they're playing the Packers, and then the Cowboys had to fucking suck for 3.5 quarters of football. It's terrible. Then have one quarter where they were just winning in garbage time. It's great. Fucking hated it. The Lions, I hate to see the Lions do well but I don't hate it as much as seeing the Packers do well. So I'm like, whatever. I mean, part of me has to be like, all right, good for them, but still, I fucking hate them.
They're
the stupid youngest brother that can't do anything right. It's not like they're the older brother that I want to punch in the dick. Like, but I thought the Rams-Lions game was great. I thought the Rams looked great for like most of that game until like the end of the third quarter.
Until Sean McVay's a pussy.
Yeah, until McVay went out in the fourth quarter. Yeah,
we'll talk about it. But yeah, that's just pussy football.
Also, everyone jumped down my throat last week. But are we sure Sirianni is safe?
No, we'll get to it. We'll get to it because I've backtracked off that. I still think you're crazy. And I will discuss it when we do. So up first is the coaching things. Bears basically just handed off the football of dumbest franchise ever to the Cowboys to keep Mike McCarthy. I don't even care. You can blame Dan Quinn on that thing. I knew that before we get into like the actual game, I knew that game was over as soon as Matt LaFleur said, "Give me the ball." I guess if you ask everybody in the NFL, it's about 90% defer on that. It's rarely that somebody says, "Give me the ball," when Matt says, like, "I'm going to go into Dallas," and it was a 12-play drive, knew there was problems. They 100% just looked lost. Mike McCarthy could not steer the ship in a direction. He's already made questionable calls all season long. He's a bad head coach. I've thought this for a long time. He's won one Super Bowl, and that carries him a very long distance. I just think with the market open as high as it is, so McCarthy's set to come back. Tomlin's set to come back to the Steelers. Dan Quinn guaranteed to be transferring to Seattle, I believe. I believe that change will be made. And Vrabel's still in the market. Belichick's still in the market. Like, these coaches don't come – like, every offseason, every organization goes and grabs an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator, somebody that doesn't have experience that's like 38 years old. I thought it was cute that the Falcons were interviewing Bill Belichick. You weren't interviewing Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick was interviewing you. What does he bring to the table? His 6 rings? He could get any job he wants. Like, what have you done in the past 24 years? I have won 6 Super Bowls. You've won 0. Why should I take your job?
Do you think he went into the meeting like, what do you bring to this meeting? Like 28-3.
There's memes on the internet where it's like Bill Belichick in this interview. What was the last time? What's the situation where he faced adversity and overcame it? It's just 28-3.
So it has not been announced yet. So this goes along with it. We talked in depth last week about Nick Sirianni getting fired. I think that if they do it, I could see that road. I think that would be the dumbest move ever. I just think it would be. You have a group that you have built around this guy.
Chiefs. Woo!
I think I just think the biggest thing that people just don't understand was this team wasn't good from the start. It wasn't like they were 10-1 and blowing people out. They were winning one-score games that could have easily went the other way. It's a tush-push here, a tush-push there. Hurts was injured. I think they made a drastic mistake. Does anybody know when the moment happened?
It's when they switched to Matt Patricia at offensive coordinator.
That was the problem. I give him more credit for seeing an issue, trying to flip the issue, than just sit there like a who's the guy at the Jets?
Oh, Robert.
I repeat. Tush.
Saleh. He's just sitting there and going, we'll just flow with what we got. We'll just do it. We got a great defense, but we'll do what we got. There was clearly a mistake with the defense. Like, they couldn't cover the middle of the field. They had pass rushers the year before that were getting home. Something had to change. Oh, yeah. And I think everybody watched he had one rush on that game, too. One rush. That shows everything. That guy does not feel great. He is injured. It was like when Burrow was playing at the beginning of the season. We're all like, sit the fuck out. You don't need to. They needed to sit him. They needed to rest him. They didn't, and that's to pay the consequences. But I think Nick Sirianni is going to keep his job. I just don't. I think with Mike McCarthy coming back, I think that's the writing in the sand. They're going to hold out Nick. Nick will be there. Nick will be on the thing. But hold on. You can say you're a bunch of bullshit where you don't know shit. But all the coaching situations, you can touch on that. Go ahead, Coho.
I think them keeping McCarthy is the reason they'll get rid of Sirianni. Because Belichick's there. I can totally see Belichick going to Philadelphia.
You are nuts.
It's the perfect situation for him.
You don't know Philadelphia.
He comes in, he builds that defense. The offense is already ready for him. He doesn't have to touch that side of the ball. He just have to work on the defensive side, which is fucking trash, and that's the thing he's good at.
Hold on. Can everybody pause real quick? Anybody think the offense down the stretch was lighting the world on fire?
No, but they have the pieces to make it work.
No, Bill Belichick the one place he is not going is Philadelphia. They hate him. They are not bringing him in. He would never fit that culture. He's terrible with like an offensive running quarterback. Cam Newton was a disaster. Like, say what you will, he was able to run at the goal line and get points.
He wasn't Cam Newton, to be fair.
Yeah, he's old man Cam Newton. He's not MVP.
He doesn't have that ability. He needs a pocket passer.
Do you think he went up to Cam in the game like, I told you to throw to the white guys?
If you believe that if anybody was going to come into that spot, it's Vrabel. It's not Bill. But I think
Vrabel and Bill are both 100%.
It's hard to find the reason why the Cowboys kept him is because it's hard to be consistent in this league, and he has 3 10-win seasons that are going to just ride it with him because the grass may not always be greener on the other side, especially when you have such mixture between veterans and Darius Slay came out today and said if they just switching coordinators is so difficult. Like we practiced one way, we believed in one way, and then they flipped it on our head and expected us to catch on. It's just not the case. Every other coaching situation, Cowboys by far, I think we all agree, is a fucking morons for keeping Mike McCarthy.
It's a bad call. I also think Pittsburgh keeping Tomlin is a bad call.
I agree.
I mean, you prove what you wanted to prove. You're fucking Thanos. Everything is balanced. Every year, the same thing. Barely make it. Sometimes in the playoffs, sometimes not. You will never be beyond the divisional round anymore. Dude, the guy needs a break. Handling those people in Pittsburgh has to be pretty tough. Other than that, I say Harbaugh should go to the Chargers.
Do you guys think it would be like one team that would benefit? You know how every other team trades up, right, in the draft?
Except the Bears.
Pittsburgh doesn't need for some guy though, because they will always be in the bottom half of the league. Mm-hmm. Because they will always win positive records. If they traded their 2024, 2025, and 2026 first round picks, or 2020, whatever, the 3, moved up, grabbed one of the young quarterbacks at the front, that team resembles. The problem is if they went to a playoff game, arguably could have maybe won that game if Kenny, they had Mason Rudolph. This is the man that has been consistent.
Wait. Were you going to say that they could have won it with Kenny Pickett?
No. I'm saying they had Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, Mitch Trubisky, all quarterbacks that I wouldn't consider even in the top 30 quarter. They're bad. So what I'm saying is if you had a capable quarterback, why not trade up, grab it? You have 10, 12 years maybe with a rookie and still do your same stuff, but maybe be more consistent because you actually have a passer. Because all you're going to do is grab somebody at 20. You're never going to be in top 10, so you're never going to be able to be there. So just give up your draft capital. That won't matter. Or give a bunch of 2s,
That's not a bad call. I think that I don't know why some teams don't at least inquire about trading for Mike Tomlin. Some teams that really need a head coach. I'm sure the Steelers would take a first.
The process is very difficult, apparently.
Well, definitely. But I wouldn't be surprised if a couple really desperate teams that need a coach, like the Commanders, don't say, hey,
what would you give for Tomlin?
I mean, I think it depends on which team. I'm sure some teams would be willing to deal a first for Tomlin. I wouldn't.
Who?
I would say like
name a team. Don't just say a blanket statement. Sure. Name a team that would deal a first rounder for Tomlin.
I could see the Seahawks dealing a first rounder for Tomlin if they don't like Dan Quinn. If they're not going
Panthers.
with Dan Quinn,
I say the Panthers do it.
Panthers could absolutely deal a first round.
Have one.
They're 2026 first.
You want the fan base to give up their last one to get Bryce Young, trade this one, and trade another one for Tomlin?
You forget who the owner of the Panthers is. He'll do it.
Okay, put Mike Tomlin on the Panthers.
I don't think he'll stay.
That streak's not continuing. That streak isn't continuing.
Oh, no. But it's not that
he didn't put Trubinsky.
I just think it's that the owner is so aggressive about wanting a win now sort of thing that he trade his first for a coach that he can potentially win now with. So,
yeah, I don't know. I'm really interested with that. I don't think they're going to be definitely interested with Dan Quinn. He had one we'll talk about it. One of the most confusing defensive schemes I've ever seen in a game. But Mark, what's your thoughts on the coaching? Like with Mark McCarthy, these other coachings available, like it's over what is it? Over 8 people have been fired in the NFL, like head coaching. Like a good number have already been gone.
Sounds about right. I mean, listen, you already brought up the group chat. Like, I mean, after when the Cowboys are getting spanked, I think several people in there said McCarthy should be fired, and
I thought he was going to make it out of halftime.
I knew better because I know Jerry Jones. I'm not a fan, but I know how he thinks. Because for some goddamn reason, even though he sees his good teams continually underperform, and the problem is clearly coaching, he'll still stick with this guy for no good reason. Like Jason Garrett.
Is it coaching? Like, aren't we giving Dak a big ass pass here?
He was bad.
I mean, he was bad.
That's an interesting
he was bad, but like this doesn't happen every single year if it's not a leadership thing. Like that, it is 100% a leadership thing, and there's just not the right people leading the ship and kind of getting because this is 100% mental. Otherwise. If it's not mental, then the Cowboys are just cursed, and there's no good reason for it.
I think it's also big part Jerry Jones's fault by putting the pressure on his team every fucking year. No owner is as vocal about we're winning the Super Bowl this year. This is the best team I've ever had than Jerry Jones. I don't think any other owner is as vocal as this fucking guy.
I mean, but they were true. If they were going to win one, it was going to be this year.
True, but that's a lot.
This is the best Cowboys team that's ever been.
They were set up to at least go to the NFC Championship game.
This is the best Cowboys team since in the 2000s for sure. I'm not saying best ever. I'm not saying Aikman and
you did say ever, and I was like, did you not see the 90s?
But Mark makes a good point. Why were we all thinking Mike McCarthy was going to be there when Jason Garrett was on the hot seat every fucking year and he stayed every year?
True. I think the big thing is that the Cowboys just looked unprepared like deer in headlights, and a lot of that was Dak. Like, Dak just seemed completely not there and out of sync and scared of what he was doing. So, I feel like that comes from McCarthy's leadership not getting them prepared, Jerry Jones putting the pressure on them to win this game like it's nothing, and Dak not being ready, like just not being the guy. He can't handle that kind of pressure. So I think those three together, all crumbling, I think you just have the wrong people in charge of this team.
So we're going to go through the games for this past week. First game on the slate, Houston versus Browns. Overall, everybody picked the Browns except Nazario. He picked Houston for 1 point. I picked him for 3. Browns. Scully picked him for 4. Mark picked it for 11. Robert picked 5, and Koho picked 3. I want a case study to be done on the defense of the Browns away and home. It doesn't make any sense. CJ Stroud, he could if you took a bet on who could be a future Hall of Famer. Like from a very slow things. Like he would be the easiest to put your money in right now. He could also fall flat to earth and be the worst. Like his sophomore slump could kill his career. Who knows? It seemed like he was unfazed. He seemed like the defense played super strong for them too. There was just wide open, like that 75 chunk play by that tight end that was just bulking down the field. The back-to-back pick six. Like, it's exciting because, I mean, in all of our lifetimes, Houston has been just a dumpster fire. They're the team that played that. I still think if they made the AFC Championship game, that NFL would put them on Saturday at like 12 instead of like a normal like primetime slot on Sunday. They're like, no, it's Houston. You got to go to your home. But
I remember David Carr. He was fun.
Yeah. I remember Derek Carr. I remember Matt Schaub. I remember Andre. Like this team was always like a 10-7 what they did. They beat up the Browns. I think the Browns lost their magic. I think overall, I thought Joe Flacco looked flat. I don't know why they just didn't do the run. Myles Garrett, if you could lose a defensive player of the year, you would lose it in that game. He looked awful. Tunsil basically put his ass in a blender. He couldn't do anything, which was nice to see because no one has able to do that basically this season. So overall, there's not a lot to take away from this game overall because of just where it is. I think it makes people buy a lot of stock in Houston because of what they did to the Browns. But I think the Ravens are clearly a different team overall. By the way, while we're talking, I need you all to send me your picks so I can put them in. You don't have to tell me the game. Just put the team that wins because I know who's playing who and the point value. Just easier. I can just insert it that way. But yeah, there's not much to take away from this game. Joe Flacco clearly going to be retired. I think there's a lot of questions from them though. Like they do have Deshaun Watson. They are paying a shit ton of money to that man. They did this all without Chubb too, which is kind of crazy. Like Nick Chubb, like leg became a question mark. So overall,
need to keep doing it without him.
Huh?
They're gonna need to keep doing it without him.
Yeah, true. Does anybody have any takeaways from this game overall?
That Texas defense is better than I thought it was. I think Will Anderson played really good. Like he was on fire. And I think that, I mean, Dalton Schultz just showed up in a way that I don't think I really saw him go that hard in the entire regular season. Like he was pretty good, but like that he was big in that game against Cleveland. It was nice to see Dalton Schultz again. So I'm excited to see Houston play Baltimore. It's gonna be fun.
No, I mean, I'm not super shocked that I'm a little bit shocked they just blew out the Browns the way. A little bit shocked they just blew them out the way they did. Yeah. I regret making that Ryan Fitzpatrick comparison to Joe Flacco because that's exactly what happened in this game. I don't know, like he's just taking shots through some horrible balls and is what it is. But yeah, I will say like it wasn't. I will say like just kind of at least about the Texans, just in the sense where, sure, at the beginning they were bad, although at least through like those Bill O'Brien years, they weirdly controlled the division, but it was kind of one of those division winners where nobody really believes that they're going anywhere. This Texans team at least is different. It feels like we are seeing the beginning of something. Like it's probably, I would think it's going to end next week. I don't know. I said the same. I think we all thought the same thing about the Packers like last week. So like, I mean, I don't know. It's fun to watch.
If they somehow manage to make it to the AFC Championship game, they should definitely get the rights to the Oilers shirts.
That's something I just will never understand. And the fact that the Titans can actually wear it against them is just absolutely just some of the most disrespectful.
Disrespectful, shit. Yeah.
They should play for it. Like when they play, whoever wins like the first game gets rights to them for the next year, and then you play for them the following. Like it should just be like it should be like college football where you get to play like for a boot. Like fuck you, like we're the Oilers. Like that's honestly, I wish they just go back to the Oilers. Like if that was the name, like switch. The Texans suck. That name sucks. Like I don't care. Like it is one of the worst names in sports. Like we're the Houston Texans. What? You're Texans because you're from Texas. Huh?
They're in Texas. Like that's the thing.
Yeah, you get that from Houston, Texas. Bart, come on the show. What do you stop chatting from afar? Get on the show.
I think D'Amico
the Miami Floridians. The San Francisco Californians.
Yeah, like that. We're in Texas. We got that from Houston, fuck faces. Like, name yourself. The Houston Bulls make way more sense for me than the Texans. Okay. Anything else on this game before we move on? Okay, the game that the frozen tundra. The coldest game. I'm 3 hours away from
I thought Lambeau was the frozen tundra.
Listen, I thought that too. I live 3 hours away from Arrowhead. So I experienced
Pussy.
Yeah, that's called because your Eagles lost, you little bitch. Okay, anyways. I live 3 hours away from that. So I felt what they felt like just doing things is miserable. It's absolutely miserable. Like I walked around outside. I went to go get the mail. I thought my elbow was going to my bones were going to fall off. It was crazy. I hated everything. So to see them playing in it was crazy. It was just fun because I've called them frauds for so long. Like Miami, and then just to come out and just lay a dud. Like what a collapse of a season they were. I am 3-0 on calling people frauds. Cowboys, Dolphins, Jacksonville, all kaput. I just.
What about the Ravens?
I'm saying you're correct. I'm saying yeah. Right.
Who?
The Ravens. Are they frauds or what?
Ravens aren't frauds.
Nah. Okay.
Ravens beat good teams. What are we talking
Zario's
about?
just really trying anything to not be scared of playing the Ravens.
I don't want to play the Ravens. Like honestly,
Ravens. Like if anything, you need to give Ravens all the respect because they did what you did to Philadelphia.
I want anybody but the Ravens in the Super Bowl if the Niners make it. Please.
Frozen Tundra. When they played on the one side of the field and it flipped and you just saw the ice on the other end, like this is something I hate. Somebody told me at work today and goes, that's why the NFL needs domes. Fuck you. I want every dome taken out of the NFL. I want everybody to have to play in the elements. That's why I want Soldier Field to exist. Because when you have to go there in December, it's your advantage to play in the winter. Yeah. It's the same reason why I think Minnesota shouldn't have a dome. If you're a cold weather thing, you need to
God doesn't want Minnesota to have a dome. He already took it down once.
We don't have God didn't want us to have a dome. That's why we don't have a dome. We have a point.
Yeah, you have a fucking penis. But anyways, it doesn't make any sense why you guys have that event
every year.
You know what my favorite tweet about this thing was in the weekend when they put the tweet that they were moving the Bills game to Monday because of the snowstorm. Somebody replied to it like, what is happening to this game I used to love?
Yeah. Jason Kelsey said it on his podcast today. He's like, I think the first people that can get there with 11 people suited up and ready to play on the field should win the game. Fuck you. Like, fans had to dig their seats out from the snow. That's football. You don't have to go, but go play in it. Like, in the 67, what the Ice Bowl was negative, like 59 wind chill or whatever. It was negative 13 degrees. Like, let them be frozen. Andy Reid had the frozen stash. Amazing. It was so cold that Mahomes shattered his helmet, which I haven't ever seen, which was such a cool sight.
Awesome.
Eagles, Chiefs bias, where they didn't make him use a timeout or stop the clock from running. They stopped it to let him get a new helmet. He should have been out of the game for that play. But
remember, there's like an old timey footage that is like a fog bank in the middle of the Bears stadium, and the reporter is like, The Bears are playing there right now, and you can only see like a big ass fog bank, and like they were still playing inside of that, and nobody could see what was happening. That was amazing.
I just think like overall, I learned some. I got some. Miami's one touchdown was an underthrown ball to Tyreek Hill that he just went back and grabbed and then took off. Like they should have been shut out. The defense of the Chiefs looks scary good. Like they were able to contain everybody in that element. Mahomes and Rice figured something out. Everybody was giving Kelsey crap for dropping those balls. I would love to suit up any person and tell them, hey, go catch a ball in that degree weather. Like, your hands do not work. Like, your hands shut down. Like, it is. And Mahomes, I don't think he throws soft. Just here's a question. I just don't think he's a soft thrower.
No, he's play baseball. That shit's.
So it made me feel a little bit more confident moving forward for them. But overall, I think their defense is going to have to keep them in games, and they have to find a way into the red zone, into the end zone. But overall, anything from this game besides them being complete frauds, and where do the Dolphins go next? Because I think this
get a new quarterback. Honestly, I think Tua was.
You think Tua's the issue?
He's crumbled in all 3 of their last 3 big games they had. It was the biggest stage, and you were at home against the Bills. And you win and you're in. You're the 2. And Tua just collapsed.
Dude, and fucking Josh Allen kept throwing interceptions. Josh Allen threw 2 interceptions and a fumble in that game. He was trying to give them the win.
Well, he was punting. He was punting.
Tua I think, is not the answer for Miami, personally.
So who do they get?
I think you call Chicago, you trade for Justin Fields, and you see how that works, because then you can at least.
You think Justin Fields is better than Tua?
I think he could be.
That's great.
He could be. Otherwise, what I do is I throw money at Kirk Cousins, and I take Kirk for a year as a stopgap because he's better than Tua. Kirk is a better quarterback than Tua.
Get Flacco.
Joe
Kirk is better.
Slowly when you need him.
Or you call Tampa and you do whatever you can to get Baker, because holy shit.
I mean, Baker.
They don't need to call Tampa. Baker only signed a 1-year deal.
Oh, you're right.
No, he's re-signed. That will be announced at the end of the season. I bet that contract is.
Oh yeah,
done.
They're paying that man.
Let the
Mark?
Baker bake.
Justin Fields, Kirk Cousins. Is that what the solution is?
Or you
No.
try
What do we?
to
I don't know what. Like,
Smith.
listen, Tua. I feel like
got 2
Tua
words
is
for
definitely
you.
not great.
Trey Lance.
Okay.
Give a
Tua's
5th
not
round
great.
pick to the Cowboys. You can have Trey Lance.
But I don't like. I don't know who you get. Like unless like they make like some deal to like, I don't know, get Jalen Hurts or some bullshit. Like I don't like you're getting some big like you can't just get. I mean, listen, we're talking. I mean, we talked about Sirianni being in the hot seat. We talked about McCarthy. I feel like McDaniel should maybe be up there a little bit because this team always does seem unprepared whenever they go up against a good team. And I mean, I admittedly didn't watch a ton of this game, but like
didn't have
I saw like, but yeah, no, I didn't want to pay the $5. Like, but I mean, were they just getting stuffed on the ground all day? It felt like it also feel like they didn't really try to run the ball that much. I don't know. Like there's just, for whatever reason, whenever like they go up against a good defense, they have no answer. And it just, I think it does go back to maybe Mike McDaniel is just like, he's maybe like a McCarthy, like, with a different name. Like, he's
a really funny offensive coordinator or not meant to head coach.
Yeah, like he's gonna get you like 11 to 12 wins. He may get you 11, 12 wins a season, but he's not gonna take you anywhere.
Nobody that shows up to coach in those pants is gonna win a Super Bowl.
Also, Nazario, I think, completely called it last week, where he was like, "The Chiefs will figure it out in the playoffs, not the Chiefs." Like I think Nazario said it last week, and they did. Like Rashee Rice was on fire.
They figured out that, hey, Rashee Rice can catch the fucking ball. Let's just throw Rashee Rice the ball. That didn't take a fucking rocket scientist to figure that shit out. And they beat the fucking Dolphins. Like, I mean, they have a real challenge this coming week. Bills at Buffalo. we'll see what happens there.
I think if they play the way they did against Miami, exactly the way they did against Miami, they will beat the Bills. 100% would beat the Bills.
Koa, I need your picks.
I sent them to you.
You did not.
Yeah.
You did.
You said it to somebody.
11 minutes ago.
You did. Okay. Next game. This. Hold on. Sorry.
We got both.
Yeah. So,
Openly rude.
Jordan Love. Draft a Hall of Fame quarterback. Let him play for you for 20 years. Draft a young quarterback near the end of his career. Piss off that quarterback. Erate him so much by not drafting offensive weapons that you make him demand a trade. Make him demand a trade. Send him to the New York Jets. Send him to the New York Jets. That new quarterback becomes a Hall of Fame quarterback. Rinse, cycle, repeat. We are on it again.
God damn it.
And for some reason, they show their dicks at being the Jets.
There was no better quarterback in the month of November, December, and January than Jordan Love. Man threw over 2,500 yards, 3 interceptions, 22 touchdowns. He was second in touchdowns. He was 7th in passing yards. He's just like, with the exact same team that Aaron Rodgers had last year. Not only are we paying this man, you have just found your quarterback of the future. Like, you're going to ride it. You're going to ride it. You're going to figure it out. The way he is throwing and the decisions that he is making is all you need. They torched this team. The first drive was 12 minutes, 7 minutes off the clock, running it down their throat, throwing it around. And then he just started fitting things in places, dimes. It was disgusting. I've watched the All-22, where basically how you scout teams. And I'm still trying to understand who Dak Prescott was throwing that ball to when he threw that pick six. I'm pretty sure he got hit in the head and thought his team was wearing green and gold because he hit that fucker in the chest. There wasn't a player around. And honestly, I think he was a QB spy on the play because there was nobody in the vicinity of like 20 yards. He was just camping, waiting if Dak ran, and he got the ball thrown to him. This is like old-time fandom fights, too, when you could just bet up where you just bet 0 every time until the game was over, where you could like make the score get closer to it and be like, hey, I only lost by 6 instead of like 10. This game was over. Yo. Oh! I thought we're sick and we don't feel good.
Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah,
so
they can't. They can't keep getting away with it.
Nothing makes me happy. Nothing makes me happier than watching the Cowboys lose. Like, I think there was only one other feeling that felt really good back in the day, and it was when the Patriots lost the Super Bowl. Like that, just elation. Like, oh, there's somebody else. It bleeds. That's crazy. But when Jerry Jones, it was 20-0 because that fucking kicker missed another extra point. Tim hates that guy. Threatened to kill his mother. I was there live. I saw it. But
yeah, Anders Carlson is
while wearing a Mason Crosby jersey.
The brother of Vikings legend Daniel Carlson, who I also threatened to kill his mother on the Packers day. When
Jerry Jones turned around and that meme was like, call Belichick. Like, just on the, like, him turning around so mad. Like, one, I feel so bad for the NFC North because the Packers did it again.
Fucking livid.
They've done it again. They have the formula.
I somehow knew this was gonna happen.
If you get 3-player, if you let a quarterback sit under your guy for 3 years, they become a Hall of Fame quarterback. Like, it's there again. He's there again. He's throwing off his back foot. He's fitting stuff in places where you looked at with Rodgers. You're like, he can't keep getting away with this. Loves doing it. It's gotta. So, like, both things. One, I'm always like a uniform color mash when it's on the field. Something about Cowboys Green Bay on a field just looks beautiful. Like, those uniforms look so good playing against you. It's like Cowboys 49ers, just classic scheme. But man, to watch the demise of one and the rise again of the green and gold, which they never even like lost a lot. They just they missed the playoffs last year and then decided. And this is just this year, like they could come. So, kind of bubble question. I believe that it's time for the Cowboys to tear it down, to rebuild. I don't believe they're going to get there with this team. I believe they need to try to – I don't think they're going to be able to relieve Dak because I don't know how much time is left on his contract. But he does not need to be resigned. That's gone. That theme is gone. And then how about them Packers, you know? Everybody can talk. Go ahead.
You want to hear a funny stat? The Packers have more playoff wins in Jerry World than the Cowboys do.
Do.
That's nuts.
That's disgusting. How about I love every time an opposing player like walks past like in the tunnel. How about them Cowboys when they beat them? It's just something. It is a special hit. That's something you can't.
I don't even know where that shit came from, but it's hilarious.
Oh, it's Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson quoted the phrase like, "How about them Cowboys?" And like they just took it and said it's America's team, and now everybody actively roots against them any chance they get.
I love how
that game was the best game to watch. I was in heaven, and I bet the most points on them. To watch the Cowboy fans like sit in the stands and cry like. It's great.
There's an engineer that works in my company that he's like in charge of the sign. So we have to talk to him every once in a while. He's the biggest Cowboy fans I know. So every time I just call him, we shoot the shit for a bit. It's like, yeah, fuck the Niners. I'm like, fuck the Cowboys, you know, that shit. I had to call him on Monday because he was supposed to send me something, some fucking handrail design that he didn't do. So I was like, hey, how you doing? He's like, don't say fucking shit. Already mailed what you want. I'm hanging the phone. I was like, okay.
I have a coworker that was planning to, if they won this game, like plan to figure out the fun, like get to Vegas. And I went, you don't need to be worried about Vegas. There's still the NFC Championship. Your team ain't going that far, even if they win this thing. I walked in Monday. I was like, how about them Cowboys? He just was so defeated. Like, what do you do? Like, Coho.
Yeah.
Can you give me?
You have experience with disappointment.
Mucho disappointment.
Give me a go, Pat, go.
No, I'd rather shoot myself in the fucking toe.
Give me a go, Pat, go.
No, I would rather say we dumb boys. I'd rather say we dumb boys.
Like any bet.
I'm decided I'm going to be just a Packers fan. That's what I'm going to do.
I don't know how they keep getting away with this. What scares me as a Vikings fan is that they keep getting quarterback right. The Lions have finally done something right because they're actually doing good. And the Bears are rebuilding, and eventually they might figure something out. All we know how to do is draft fucking wide receivers and not get someone who can throw them the goddamn football. So we haven't had a quarterback.
Whoa. You like Kirk Cousins. But you like Cousins.
I love Cousins, but he's not getting me to a Super Bowl. I love Kirk Cousins.
He never
was. The best quarterback we've had since Dante Culpepper, and it's not close. But that's not a high bar to clear.
Before his injury, Kirk Cousins was on track.
Didn't you have Warren?
Yes, Kirk was having an MVP season and was having the best season of his career. Might have been the NFL MVP. We might have won a Super Bowl. But that is a whole bunch of what ifs for a guy who blew out his ACL in Week 7, Bar.
It was an Achilles.
Didn't you have Warren Moon?
Who cares?
Huh?
Didn't you have Warren Moon?
You had Dante Culpepper.
That's what I'm saying. The last time we drafted a quarterback who was good was Dante Culpepper. Like in the middle of that, we had Horace Jackson and we had Christian Ponder and Teddy Bridgewater. We can't get it fucking right.
And you had the Dick Shower for like a year that he took you to the AFC Championship.
You show some respect to Teddy Roosevelt.
We didn't draft him, but he was great for us. That was the closest we've ever been to a Super Bowl. Brett fucking Favre. I still fucking hate that we're going to fuck this up and not get. We need to trade up to get Jaden Daniels, Drake May. I don't know who the answer fucking is, but we got to do something. We got to do something fast because the Packers have figured it out, the Lions have figured it out, and the Bears are on our ass. So something's got to happen.
Get ready for JT McCarthy.
Pissed. He's not.
Mark. You're a Cowboys fan, so what's up?
Yeah. I said at the beginning, they're cursed. That's the only explanation. The Cowboys are just cursed.
As a fan base that was cursed, it sucks.
I mean, there was some like Madame Zeroni bullshit, where they forgot to carry an old lady up the mountain, and they can't get a playoff win. Do they carry the old lady up the mountain? Some dumb thing
that
like
pitch
that.
Died years ago.
Yeah.
It's just it's something. It's all mental. It's all mental with the stupid Cowboys.
They got the yips.
And there's no good explanation for it. They except fire all their head coach.
How do the Cubs figure out their shit? Because they're in a similar thing to the Cubs at this point. They're on the same pace.
Cowboys fans
the Cubs won a title in like the last 10 years.
I know. I'm asking, how did the Cubs exercise whatever 100-year demon they had on their shoulder to get that to
Here's
happen?
the thing. Cowboys fans thought the curse was Jimmy Johnson not being in the Ring of Honor. And then once Jimmy Johnson got in the Ring of Honor, everyone was like, this is it. Finally, it's our fucking year. And then just...
Yeah.
Is there
because Jerry and him had
worse
such a beef
postseason loss than the Cowboys just had? I feel like this has to be one of the most embarrassing losses I think I've ever seen.
The most embarrassing.
It's only 7 seed to ever win. I know they only expanded 4 years ago, but this is the only time that's ever happened. And
there used to be 7 seeds before, though.
Huh?
There used to be 7 seeds before.
What? When?
There used to be a 7 and 8 seed, like in like the 60s or something like that.
Oh, shut the Bart, fuck you. We're not talking about before blacks and whites could sit in the same restaurant. I'm talking about current
Super Bowl era.
What the fuck are we doing? Like, what are we talking about? 6 seasons? Yeah, Joe Namath was a Hall of Fame quarterback. Like, let's talk about things that happened in the 60s. That makes no goddamn sense.
Goddamn.
Okay. Next game on the slate. The best game on the slate. Lions, Rams, Pussy McVay. I mean, get in the red zone 3 times, kick 3 field goals. Like, you gotta and you're sitting across the line from the biggest balls coach in the entire NFL that says, like, second down, trying to run out the clock. Hey, St. Brown, here you go. Just end it. Fuck.
And a quarterback with a chip on his shoulder after getting traded.
I said it. I've said it. And everybody's like, no. And like, how many headlines came out of that game? Because when Dan Campbell goes, you're enough for Detroit, Jared Goff. Like, thank you. It was written on the wall. Goff carried that with him forever. And he was able to shove it straight up their asses. And it was great. It wasn't they could have lost, clearly. But again, quote the great Dom Toretto. Doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile, winning's winning. So yeah, I thought it was great. I'm excited. I was excited for Detroit, especially. I did like Eminem's package like before the game where he's like, Stafford, I rapped for you. Like, give us this one. Just give us this one. Don't take this from me. So then they get another playoff game this week, so that's pretty cool. I still think it's weird. I feel like the Rams' future is so weird because it's such a mixture between old and young. So, like, I don't know where the thing is. I think with more time, like clearly they hit again with a BYU receiver that no one saw coming. So that's exciting for them. But I don't know where it goes. But overall, excited for the Lions. Anything on this game besides, like, McVay being a giant pussy?
I thought Matt LaFleur taught us this a while ago. You always go for the touchdown instead of taking the points and regretting it later.
Yep.
I think the Rams have a lot of special pieces and a lot of pieces that won't be there in 2 years, like you said. And I think they have to enter full competitive rebuild mode. They have to be willing to deal a couple people that are on the end of their rope as players to get something for them at the end.
They have to try to trade Cup.
They got it. They got to move on Cooper Kupp. I think Aaron Donald's going to retire a Ram, but if you can get anything for him, maybe now's the time to move him because that other defensive tackle you got is really good.
I think he's done this year. I think he actually steps away this year.
That's probably true. I think they would rather see Aaron Donald retire with them than have to move him. But you're in the spot where you got to start making some room and you got to start moving some old pieces for some new. But the Rams are still looking frisky, and I like it. But I thought Stafford played really good, and he was just playing great. I think Stafford has another couple of years left in him, barring another big injury. But I think he could.
It was kind of like him and Tua this offseason. Everybody was like, well, if they stay healthy or if they don't die on the field. Both had great seasons, overall. Yeah. They both, survived the season, so that's interesting.
But I like seeing Stafford succeed. I've always liked Stafford, even when I had to fucking root against him. So it was nice to see Stafford play against the Lions. It was fun. But I don't know. Good for the Lions. They are now 1-9 in the wild card round.
I never understood why the Rams were just so counted out this year. Yeah, I know they had a bad season last year, but that's because we all
they suck.
And that's because we all know that's because Stafford was hurt for since game one. Yeah. And I was like, if you have a healthy Stafford right now, this is going to be a team that can at least make the playoffs. And we just saw that again. Matthew Stafford is going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. He has 3 wide receivers now that are just have these incredible trajectories. And you can basically link them all to Matthew Stafford's abilities.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, they have a first-round pick finally. They finally have a first-round pick. So if you're going to start rebuilding, the opportunity is now.
Get an offensive lineman. What if – here's a scenario I didn't bring up, but what if the Green Bay Packers trade up and get Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Not happening.
That would be
the Packers do not trade up.
I know, but how crazy would that be if he got Harrison Jr.?
If you got Harrison Jr., Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs as your 3, that's fucking scary. I hate that shit.
Or they get another mid-round guy with a drop problem.
I like that more.
That's what they like. That's what they like to do. They can't figure a receiver out until 3 years down the line.
I don't know. James Reed really showed himself this year.
I'm going to save us a lot of time on this next one. Buffalo Steelers. Steelers had no business being in that game. The fumbles cost them. The fake slide. Josh Allen getting away with a little bit of a looked like a fake slide.
Oh, yeah. He just backed up. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Just backed up, yeah. So overall, that game should have been played when it was played. It's just stupid that they had to postpone it. I don't believe in that. Next one is the main game that we'll talk quickly. We talked about it a little bit, but the Bucks finally did what we've been kind of talking. It was I put 1 point on the Eagles because for the off chance that the Eagles did win. Right. But that coffin was nailed shut before and sinking to the bottom of the ocean before they even had a shot. I've said it, Jalen Hurts was injured. A.J. Brown was gone. Their defense could not stop the middle of the field, which is really concerning. I've played football. I'm still trying to understand how pass rushers forgot how to pass rush. That's not something a coach can teach you, or a coach hey, by the way, this is how you do your job. You're in the National Football League. You push and pull and swim and you do your moves to get through. How do they just not prevent those? It seemed like all of the progressions for the DBs went down. And I said this in the chat. As a Baker believer, I've been a Baker believer from the get-go. I believe he got a short end of the stick everywhere he went. He's had 8 head coaches and now he has 2 playoff wins still. Like that's crazy.
More than the Browns.
He's
just as many as Dak Prescott.
Yeah, he was the perfect guy to go into that situation after because he's got good weapons. So it's exciting for me as a Baker fan because he had a great season, like an arguably like super talented season. Again, I said he could have thrown for 500 yards. I don't know what the Eagles do next. I really don't. They need to get a new offensive and defensive coordinator. I think that's very key because, like, your play calling, I said it. I think we were watching a game, chatting in the chat about it. And I was like, if I see another third down, tuck the ball and run forward and get smashed in the backfield over and over again. And this was before like the 49ers game. Like it was a play call that they just believe in, I think was so stupid. So, and then, hey, let's do a bubble screen to Gainwell on 3rd and 10. Like, most people in the NFL should know that Kenneth Gainwell is a player. You have DeAndre Swift. I'm really confused by your guys' like awareness of everything.
It looked like they had gotten Voldemort in there to guest call the plays. It was crazy.
Maybe it was Sirianni after the Chiefs game going, "Hey, Kansas City, see ya." He's a lot like Donald Trump, where he may do good things for some people, but at the end of the day, he shouldn't talk. My viewpoint, Sirianni should lose his Twitter account. The camera should never see him. They should never talk to him. He needs Belichick to come coach him. Be like, how do you feel about them talking trash? We're on to Cincinnati. We're on the Cowboys. Like, shut the fuck up and get off the press conference. Because he's kind of corny. At the end of the day, he's a corny guy, and it's kind of annoying, and people root for your downfall when you're like that.
I think he's the bad version of Dan Campbell in that way, where Dan Campbell can put together a good press conference on emotion. Sirianni cannot. He just comes off as an absolute tryhard.
With Jason, I also think Jason Kelsey retiring. He not retired. He's gone. Like, he's done. The tush push took 35 years off that man's life. He was under 2,000 pounds like every time he went forward. Like, it's so much weight. So Barr, not long because we got to get into picks, but like overall, this is probably one of the worst collapses in this is like the 2020 Steelers. Yeah. But we knew more about the Steelers at the time that they were not that good of a team, but they were started like 10-1 and fell down. Yeah. Did you watch Monday's game? Did you just avoid it? Like, did you know the outcome?
Oh, okay. God, no. I knew we were losing. Like, and I knew it was going to be bad. So I just caught the highlights the next day. Yeah, no, it's super disappointing. Hey guys, I'm gonna guess what the Eagles' first next series would have looked like. Run, pass, stop. Like that's all it was for the last couple games. It was the same exact pattern. Like, it was the same play calling. Matt Patricia only knows how to do 3 play calls when it comes to defense. Like, a Lions player called him out, being like, yeah, those are the exact same plays that he coordinated for us when he was the coach of the Lions. Like, it was just I've never understood why Philadelphia was so eager to get rid of Jonathan Gannon. Because, say what you want, we had the best defense in the league last year. And
they didn't get rid of him, did they?
What's that?
Didn't he just go sign for another team? Didn't he just go to another team?
Cardinals now.
Yeah. But the city erupted when that happened because they were like,
right, you can't stop somebody from being a head coach. Oh, they were happy that he was gone.
Yeah, they were happy that he was gone.
What?
And I never understood.
Philadelphia fans are fucking weird.
They were a top defense last year.
I know. But for some reason, Philadelphia was so happy to get rid of him. And I never understood how you would be happy to get rid of the guy who was coordinating the top defense in the league.
Do you believe they should fire Sirianni?
No, not at all. I say you replace both coordinators, and if we keep on the same momentum as at the beginning of next season as we were at the end of this season, then it's time to talk about firing Sirianni.
What if you hire Josh McDaniel as offensive coordinator?
I would become a Miami.
Why? I think say what you will about Josh McDaniel, but Josh McDaniel's a good offensive coordinator. Like
the man drafted Tebow.
He's loyal to
I'm
one
not saying
team.
his draft is good. I'm saying the GM drafts, by the way, not the head coach. But don't you remember draft day? But my thing is, I think an offensive coordinator. I think he honestly is a good offensive coordinator. He just can't be the head of the ship.
He's loyal to one team and one team only, and that's the Patriots.
Yeah, Mayo's going to bring him back.
Probably.
Anybody else want to talk about this before we move on?
I
just want to say
I could have never called that many points being put up by Tampa Bay in that game. I knew Philly was dead. I knew Philly was losing. I would have never thought Baker was going to put up that big of a performance in that game, and I'm so happy. I didn't think he was going close. Like
Kyler Murray, Tyrod Taylor. It happened week in and week out. They were all putting up big numbers.
I didn't think it was going to be in playoff scenario 35-9 final. Like I didn't think that was.
It was similar to the Buccaneers Chiefs Super Bowl.
It was, yeah.
I want to bring up one more point real fast. Just
saying.
The Buccaneers are, I think, the only team in the NFL to stop the brotherly shove in two different games. Like they're the only team that was.
You guys missed out on the 2-point conversion. I said, "Yep, this team really is dead. This team has nothing. This team,
they were able to stop it in week 3, and they were able to stop it there."
I just gotta say, I want to apologize to our audience for taking that high confidence pick on the fucking Eagles. I was convinced that after shaking, of the fucking rust for the last 6 weeks, they were just gonna show up and do what they are supposed to do, which is beat an inferior team. But apparently, I was wrong. I don't know, man. Like maybe it was some Tampa magic. People like those teams that get the home field advantage barely for like one game, then they just like pump their chest off and just put their dicks on the table, just like Houston did, But yeah, I'm eating a big crow in this one because your team fucking sucks.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. All right. So we are going to get to this week's game.
Wait, what about the rankings?
Oh, sure. Do the rankings.
Yeah. Go
Or
home,
you can give insight, but your picks we've already started. So,
3, 2, 1.
You got them?
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, the rankings left in the game. Okay. What did Green Bay need to do to move up? I'm just curious. What they beat the number 2 seed? What else do they need to do? Not be the Packers.
3 major things they need to do. First, they need to relocate out of the state of Wisconsin. 2, they need to change their color scheme to not be green and gold. 3, they need to not be called the fucking Packers. Then they can move up past that.
So why aren't they lower than the Bucs?
Because I have to give them their flowers. They're better than Tampa. I can't be happy with that. But I do think that they are the 7th best team left in the field. I think they played great against Dallas. That might have just been because Dallas is fucking frauds. But I think that if they played any of the 6 teams above them, I would definitely take all 6 teams to beat the Packers in those games.
Okay.
I think the Bills are fucking low. I don't think you have given them their props. They haven't lost a game in like 2 fucking months. They should at least be 3.
No, if this doesn't tell you who he's picking this week, you're confused. Basically. Okay. Yeah. Maybe we just cut the power rankings for the rest of the season. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but I can't make it.
You don't want 4 teams next week?
No. You're retired for the season. Not that you did bad, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Next week I'll just tell you how to rank.
Okay, so first game on the slate is what?
From last week.
Jesus.
Boom. Smaller graphic because I fucked up with the format. But this is the rankings from the last pick.
So Mark's big swing, basically, he nailed on 2 big picks. He lost the 11 points. So, and I was wrong, everybody, last week. I said 14. It's 13 points. So I moved everybody, adjusted that. Kastner's in the basement. Kastner took some swings, missed. But it's still a very close race. This could decide who has to sit on call and do a punishment of the winner. Right now, I can't imagine what Mark would have somebody do. And if Mark punished me in a certain way, I will kill him myself. All right. Made me watch Jason Goes to Hell. Recall again. That was fucking hell. That movie sucks. Don't play fandom. That's my rule for everybody. Just advice. Don't play fandom.
And you didn't believe me.
It's bad. It's bad. Horror Icon sucks. Thank you, Tim Bercala. First game on the slate is Ravens at Texans at Ravens. Everybody is in lockstep on the call, besides Robert and Nazario. Nazario has 5 points on the Texans to win because he hopes to not see them. Robert, I think, is swinging for the fences. He put 10 points on the Texans to win this game. Everybody else, I'm at 9 points. Scully's at 9 points. Mark's at 10 points. Coho's at 10 points. So we're basically in lockstep on that one. I still think I put a significant amount of moolah on the Ravens to win the Super Bowl. All profit. I did not put my house money on, or my bills. So we're all fair. Because I have a wife and I'll be executed live on call. But all profit. But I think they could win. I think they're the best team. I'm a little scared from sitting at home and waiting because they basically have been resting for 2 full weeks now. So that's a little scary. Houston's riding the hot hand, but I think going into the weather, going outside, I think they have a rough match. Everybody agree with me that picked them for a high point value? Or
I
do you have
I think they're coming out guns a-blazing. I just don't. I think the Texans are playing hot, but I think the Ravens are just all around better at every single position.
Lamar Jackson has been playing too well, and he's been playing too consistently. Like, I think more than anything, he's not losing his team's games, and he's able to work that offense kind of when they shouldn't be good. And more often that, like, CJ Stroud is going to have his biggest test of the season playing on the road at Baltimore against a top 5 defense of the league. So, yeah, like, it just – I mean, it feels like an easy call to pick the Ravens here.
Bar, if you had to pick a side on this game, where would you lean?
I would have put 3 points on the Ravens.
So not super confident.
Not super confident. We already had the 1 seed versus the 1 seed last year in the Super Bowl. It's super rare that happens. So at some point, I think one of the 1 seeds tumbles. I just don't know when.
Nazario, is this that you believe that they will lose, or do you believe that you're just hoping that they don't meet you guys?
This team feels like they already won the thing. They rested players on week 18. They had to buy. They are
so did your team.
They are all fat, relaxed, out of football shape. They're not ready for this. Stroud is going to show up. He's going to kick their ass.
Stroud boys.
So is Sam Darnold playing, or are we gonna?
Yeah. What about your team? Do you want to talk?
We'll talk about that later.
Okay. Okay. The next game is the 49ers. 2 people are on the Packers.
Jesus.
4 people are on the Niners. 8 points for Coho Niners. 9 points, Mark, Niners. 10 points, Scully, Niners. Nazario, 12 points, Niners. Robert, 11 points on the Packers. Me, 4 points on the Packers. I don't feel like I win or lose on this scenario, like on 4 points, especially with Robert shooting for 11. I have room for error. There are 2 things that could happen in this game. because I think everybody expected the Cowboys to blow out the Packers. I think that's what,
or at least win.
Right. So my thing is, two things could happen in this game. One, it will be a blowout, and it will be ugly, and Jordan Love will be in misery and everything. Or it's a very close game, and I'm leaning towards the latter. I think it's going to be a closer game. I think Matt LaFleur is a top 10 head coach in the league. I think it's just stopped denying how good of a coach he really is. I just feel like if Shanahan loses this game, I think Shanahan, which would be crazy, but what more can their ownership give you to get you over the hump? Like, you have everything that you could possibly want. And if Jordan Love comes into your house and beats you, I think it would be interesting. I don't know. I don't think it could. I don't think it will happen, but I don't gain anything on anybody by putting money, the same amount of money as the Packers, like as everybody else has the Niners. So I'll take the 4-point swing. And I think it would just be awesome. Like, I would love to watch Scully and Coho just melt down as the Packers moved one step further. And I believe that the 49ers, they feel like they've already won the thing. They're resting people week 18. They're not in football shape. They're fat. They're lazy. They're out of shape. They just don't care.
Listen.
Give me go, Pack, go.
Listen. The 49ers had some beat-up players, but they got some rest on week 18. They got the bye. They got all their shit together. They got healthy, and they started getting back in football shape. They are ready. They are rested. They're going to beat the shit out of the fucking Packers. We did it 4 times with Aaron Rodgers. We start doing it the same way with fucking Love.
Maybe Love's better.
Okay, well, it's 1 year. No, it's calm down.
I just physically can't bet on the Packers. I could just be blind betting against them. The Packers could be in the Super Bowl. I'd have to blind bet against them. I just can't. But I do think the 49ers are all around the better team, and they have the better coach. They have the better scheme. They have the rest. Everything's on their side. I'm going to go with them.
Better coach?
Significantly better coach. Shanahan is Shanahan might be the best coach in the National Football League.
Who would you want in late game scenarios?
I'd rather have Kyle Shanahan than Matt LaFleur.
I'd rather not even for that. Shanahan sucks in last minute things. He gets too cute.
I feel like the Packers.
I don't have to win in a late game scenario. I'm already up by 20 going into the fourth quarter with Shanahan.
I hope they win the coin toss and say, we like the ball, please. That will give me every sense of confidence ever. There's a Bar. How many points would you put on this game, and who would you pick?
This one's tough.
What the fuck?
I'd probably put. Here's my thing.
Go, Pack, go.
Here's my thing. First of all, Jordan Love looks better in his first season than Aaron Rodgers did in his first season. Plus, this happened to the Packers.
A lot of quarterbacks in their first season.
Right. This also happened to the Packers multiple times when they had the 1 seed, where San Francisco came in and just killed them. Yes. So I feel like the table's about to turn. However, betting with my head over my instead of over it, I'd probably put 4 on the Niners.
Mark, you got anything?
They're at Levi Stadium. Jordan Love pulled off some of the massive. I wouldn't hate if the Packers did win, just because if Jordan Love leads the Packers over the Niners, something Aaron Rodgers could never do. It'd just be the funniest thing I've ever seen.
That would be hilarious.
It'd be one last fuck you to the guy.
He just drops his nuts right on Rodgers' face and be like, "Sup, bitch."
He probably goes to Pat McAfee's show to bitch about it.
He's not allowed back on, I don't think. I messed that up. Okay, next game on the slate is Lions at Bucks at Lions. I keep screwing that up. How many we have? 2 Bucks.
Those people are
For
more
Lions, we have Mark and Scully with 1 point for the Bucks.
Fuck.
Okay. They have to use their one somewhere, I guess. Mark's a pussy and just couldn't lay any more points down.
Why do you want to lose the point, Mark?
Robert is at 6 points. Nazar is at 7 points. Coho's at 9 points. And I'm at 11 points. I've never been more confident in a team than that. I think the Bucks look great against a shell of a team that should not have been in the playoffs. They should have lost. There's no business. I think the Lions are the best team besides the 49ers remaining in the NFC. So at that point in time, I think they steamroll them. They played earlier this year, 20-6 or whatever. I think playing in that crowd wants it more than anything. I think they win. I think they go to the NFC Championship game. I'm very confident on that pick. Mark, why the Bucks? Because they gave you. Is this like a respect bet for what they did for you last week?
Not entirely. This is hard. It's hard to pick just because I like the Lions the majority of the season. I like watching what they did, and I really love watching the Bucks this year, especially watching the resurgence of Baker Mayfield. And yeah, like I think the Bucks have been better than we've given them credit for, and they did what good teams do. Like they beat honestly a not great team down the stretch, and I think it is possible for the Bucks here to get in a dogfight a little bit with the Lions. They did it with the Rams, and also like Baker is hungry.
Bacon.
Like I think he wants to. I think he wants to prove a lot of people wrong. And do I think it's super likely that the Bucks win? Not really, but like this is more me who I want to see win more. And I'd want to see the Bucks win more. But I'm also, going to hedge my bets here a little bit and just do the 1 point. If it happens, cool. If not, say goodbye to the 1 point.
Bar, what would you do on this game?
I'd pick the Lions. I know that. But let's see. I think I would take the Lions for 7.
7. Coho.
I just think there's something magical happening in Detroit. They actually can win. It's wild. So as much as I physically can't bet on the Packers or choose them, it's just against my religion as a Vikings fan. The Lions, I can give myself a pass because they've sucked for so long. I can just be like, all right, fine. Like I can admit the Lions are good.
They've been the Charlie Brown of the NFL for decades.
Like I said, there are our idiot younger brother who can't do anything right finally getting his life together for once. I'll give him a pass.
Shots fired. Okay. Nazario, anything on this game?
I think the Bucks are lucky as fuck to be there. They won the division because they got the Panthers in the last match. They make it out of the Super Wild Card round because the Eagles just gave up 2 months ago and didn't tell anybody. The Lions are not that. So
I think they told us all. We just didn't answer. They were calling. They were sending up smoke flares. They're like, we're fucking dead.
Jason Kelsey was talking about it on his paywall podcast.
Just picking them up like weekend and Bernie's and just carrying them through life. Just like, come on, buddy.
So yeah, I think basically the Bucks are very lucky to be able to make it this far. They should be very thankful, and now they should be ready to go fucking home.
Yeah, you should thank us when we euthanize you on the field. And then the last game,
Baker should sign his extension before the game.
I agree. Right now, get the deal done now.
All right, and this is the last game of the weekend. Taylor Swift will most likely be in attendance.
Wearing one of those jersey jackets. That was fucking cool.
Your
That
team
was
made it.
sweet. Huh?
Zara's team made her jacket thing.
Yeah, you did make it. You did make a Mahomes.
You shit.
The best.
3 people have picked. Everybody has picked the Bills except 2. Nazario's at 6 points. Scully's at 5 points. Mark's at 8 points. Robert's at 3 points. Coho is at 1 point for the Chiefs, and I am at 10 points for the Chiefs.
Oh man, I feel so fucking good now.
I believe the NFL script is already written. I think it is. We're going to see some questionable flags. We're going to see some questionable situations. They are going to try to get Taylor to the Super Bowl. I just think it's going to happen.
They tried already when they asked her to do the halftime show, and she said no.
I also think it's a narrative that also describes, like, Mahomes has never went on the road for the playoff game. He's never had to play. This is just one more notch in his belt to put up there. I think that's something that they'll talk about after it. I think the story that most people are not talking about is how destroyed the Bills' defense is. The Bills' defense is in disarray. It is gross how bad it is, and also how banged up the offensive is for the Bills. The wide receiver, like, was Gabe Davis didn't play last week, even though Gabe Davis hasn't existed in NFL for like a whole year at this point. I just think with the defense of the Chiefs, with Mahomes figuring something out, and it's the Chiefs in the playoffs. They don't lose until it's the AFC Championship game. And if they don't lose there, they'll go to the Super Bowl. I think it's their year. I think they're going to go still. I just couldn't bet against them. I knew most people were going to go for the Bills. It was my only chance. If I'm going to make up points, this is the game. I would not be surprised if I'm sitting there Sunday night and the Bills have won 31-21. Like, I would not be surprised at all. But overall, I still think Mahomes has magic. I think Reed will outcoach. I think McDermott's still a problem. Yes, coach. I think he's gotten them through. But like, look at the Steelers game. Those guys, they were still coming back on them at that point. Like, that's a problem. Like, I think it's going to be an instant classic. I think it's going to, and everybody's like, well, it's going to be cold. You know what team strives in the cold? It's literally the Chiefs. They literally just had to play the ice game. So that's my pick. I know I could be wrong. You can tell me all the things on the Bills. Cole, you kind of locked up with that.
Yeah. Basically, I just think that Josh Allen will turn the ball over 3 times. Chris Jones is going to strip sack him at least once. He's going to throw 2 bombs deep down the field.
I just love how dramatic your like takes are. Like, he's going to get executed on the field.
I just think Josh Allen has an absolute turnover problem, especially in a big divisional game with the Chiefs, where he has that chip on his shoulder, and Josh Allen can't win in the biggest of spots in the playoffs. He just can't get to the game. The Bills will not get to the Super Bowl, and the Chiefs are exactly like you said. Mahomes hasn't won on the road yet. He's going to get his first one. It's just going to happen.
Mark, you're the most confident. What's up?
Yeah, I mean, listen, like, I find it funny that Coho's brought up that, Josh Allen's going to play bad. Like, if Josh Allen has proven anything to us, is that he shows up in the goddamn playoffs. He's the best player on the field in January and beyond. They did not lose that 13-second game because Josh Allen played bad. They lost because their defense couldn't fucking stop anybody. Which, again, I know like the Chiefs just won, but we're also giving them credit for beating the fucking Dolphins. Mm-hmm. It was something that we should have expected they do, and also, like, I mean, I think this game is probably going to be pretty sloppy. I think both of these teams are going to be hitting hard repercussions of like just the hard cold weather games that both of them played. But this game's going to be played at Buffalo. Buffalo is on a massive hot streak, and they had been thirsting for event. They wanted to strike vengeance against the goddamn Chiefs for the past 2 years for what they did they did to them that last playoff game. It just feels like if the Bills are gonna do it, it's gonna be now. If they're honestly the only other team in the AFC that I think has a shot at being the AFC representative in the playoffs. If it's not them, it's the Ravens. Cut and dry.
Yeah. I do not, like, I'm not going to disagree. Like, I 100% understand that logic. Like, 100%. Nazario has been very pro Bills for the entire podcast.
Pick them to be to the Super Bowl against the 49ers in the first week we did the show. Shit. I believe this is going to be a messy game. I think it's going to be sloppy. I think it's going to be filled with turnovers on both sides. And somehow each team is going to put at least up 30 between all that mess. And then Peyton Mahomes is going to try to do the game-winning drive with the last few seconds. Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is going to do the fucking last second drive, and he's going to shoot a 30-yard bullet, and Kadarius Toney is going to drop it. And that is how the Bills make it.
I also just want to point this out real quick. Josh Allen in 9 playoff games is thrown for 2,537 yards, 20 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions, and a passer rating of 101.6.
Good shit.
What was this over?
9 games.
My MVP.
I think the switching coordinator.
How many Super Bowls does he have to show for that in appearances?
Oh, wow.
He's going to win. He's going to win this. He's going to win. He's going to get there this year.
But that's called a goalpost argument. Like, when you get facts and be like, well, how many Super Bowls did they win? And how many girls did he bang on Florida's trip? Like, who cares? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, the stats are the stats. He performed when he needed to perform. Yes, Bar.
Bills win 13 points. I'm going to bet 10. I would bet 10 points on this. This is the most confident game I'm in.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Josh Allen.
It just feels like all this.
It's not an answer. It's not an answer that Josh Allen is the answer.
It just feels like all the.
If everybody restarted the NFL right now and you got number 1 draft pick, no one is picking anybody besides Patrick Mahomes, number 1.
CMC.
That's your
stop it. Stop it.
My
but how many Super Bowls does he have? Like, what are you telling
My confidence leads me to
matters. If he plays good in the playoffs, he'd be in a Super Bowl.
My confidence in this leads me to believe that it's very possible that they lose, because my confidence this year has just gone in the complete opposite direction almost every single time. But I believe that it's sort of like how Cincinnati felt last year, but I think the Bills are more committed to actually making that happen.
Okay. All right. Well, that is the show. We will be back next week for the NFC Championship games.
Are we doing the Pro Bowl?
Are we recording an episode on the Pro Bowl? No, we'll take the week off.
Nah, nice.
We'll take the week off there, and then we will come back the week of the Super Bowl. I have like 20 props.
Our own Pro Bowl roster as a show. Who would we put in the Pro Bowl? I feel like that's a great filler. There's nothing to talk about. Just make your own Pro Bowl roster.
Maybe. Here's an idea. I'll pitch it to the group. We'll see how we feel. We don't take a week off, but the 5 of us the 4 of us, maybe 5. Well, 5. If Robert, Barr, Coho, and Scully, they'll all draft as a unit or whatever. But what if we did a draft we do a draft for the best players for next year. Like you get 5
a way too early Pro Bowl draft for
way too early. Like who's going to have the best season for next year, and then we can compare for next year.
Sure.
No. Yeah. It's like I saw. It's like I saw a guy make a video like ranking how hot was the seat of the coaches like mid-season, like hot, cold. Like he was completely fucking wrong, but.
Right? It's crazy when that happens. Okay. So we will see you guys next week. We'll kind of discuss what we're going to do for Pro Bowl and stuff like that, but we'll be here next week. Bye.
Bye.